It's quite sunny, and as you can see, it's also quite cold. And oh, what's that behind me? What are they? Are they bones? Bones and something. But yeah, it's quite cold, relatively cold here in Sydney, Australia. And this video, I'm just jumping on to share updates. I had an event yesterday and an event prior to that, just the differences between the two. I thought I'd share, just say my internal processes as I went, because they were both of them were quite different. The first one I was a bit frazzled. It was a lot of energy, and also just my own patterns as well. Even though it was still a phenomenal event, people had an amazing experience. Again, coming out of that, I was like there's things that I could have refined, and which I have, which came into yesterday's event at Bondi with a friend of mine. And yeah, it was really lovely. It's really beautiful. We had 7, 8, 9, 10 individuals there, and it was really pleasant. Really pleasant, and looking forward to doing more when it feels right. And it was really cool to kind of introduce music and sound to it as well. And it's just, kind of collabing with people. It's helping me define who I am more, see what I'm not, and as I see what I'm not, I get to define who I am even more. So, because I'm not really that spiritual guy, even though people have spiritual experiences working with me, I'm not your crystal guy. I'm not your your sage. I'm not your that's cool, but that's just not me. I'm just old James. I'm just Jimmy Jam, I'm just Jimmy. I'm just James. So, but it was nice to have that element, because again, my friend Bess in the spiritual space, the sound healings, sound bowls, and she sings, and kind of bringing that element into it, which was nice, different. So, and I've got another event coming up. I'm not sure if it will be I need to just double check the dates. I've got the times and dates wrong because school gets back, so my schedule, I've got basketball. For those of you who don't know, basketball is back on, school term, so which is really cool, really exciting. Again, I'm learning a lot more in that world as well, in terms of how kids learn. So obviously I'm providing the frequencies for them, that kind of safe space for them just to explore themselves, but then coupled with teaching techniques from coaches over in the States, and even elements that I've seen here. Kind of going back, I last term and lately, I've been more so training more, skill development, or the physicality of the game, like the biomechanics and all that sort of stuff. And it's helped my own game. And I brought it into the girls, because I coach a girls team, and even the boys. But in kind of looking back, even though it was nice and good, to get shooting form right, and what foot to jump off, left foot, right foot, body mechanics, and again, it's important for that. But the element that it was missing, that I'd felt like I had done quite a lot of earlier on in my career, was having a constraints approach. So basically, what that means is you would provide an environment where, a game-like environment for the child, for the student, the athlete, and then provide constraints, or also known as limitations. So it's like, hey, you have to score only with your left hand, okay, or you have to score with your right hand only, no step backs, or you have to finish a different way every way, okay? Or with defense, it's like, okay, with defense, you can't jump, okay? Or you can't do something, or you do this, okay? So to try and to shape how the kids are learning in a random but repetitive environment. So they're getting reps in, but those reps are relatively different. They're a little bit random, which mimics the game. And research, again, I haven't looked into it, but again, this is I'm just relaying from, coaches that have way more experience than I am. They have said that the research coming out suggests that having these constraints in game-like scenarios allows a degree of creativity for the kids to learn and problem solve and to acquire skills at a higher rate. So I've really been getting kind of just re-engaging in that initially in my coaching career. That's exactly where I went, because I had an NBL, again, the National Basketball League here in Australia. I had an assistant coach. I was lucky enough to know him. He was a couple of years ahead of me at the school that I went to, Scott's, here in Sydney. And I was given his number, a friend of a friend. I was like, do you think it'd be cool if I spoke to Sean for a few minutes, because I'm getting into coaching? Would be great to, get some insight into where to go, who to learn from. And that's always been something that, even if I think back at being a kid, maybe not as intense as it is now, but I always kind of had that mindset of, okay, what are they doing well? Or how did they do that? I remember a kid in my school, his name was Stenberg. If you're probably not watching this, but his name was Alex. And he was a halfback. And I played with him when I was a little 7-year-old, and then we ended up going to school together later on. Anyway, he used to do this pass out from the scrum, like this diving pass. If you don't know rugby union, a scrum is when they, like, the big guys, smash against each other, like it's like a forward pack. Anyway, if you don't know what a scrum is, look up what a scrum is. And the halfback would be the person passing from the scrum to the first receiver, the person who's receiving the ball. And anyway, he would do this diving pass, and it was awesome, because it was quick, and it would also get him out of trouble from the other halfback, the opposition, trying to tackle him and swipe his hands at the back of the scrum. So it was more of a protective thing. And in my own game, it used to happen quite a bit. And he was the best best halfback in the school at the time. And so I would practice a little bit, those diving passes to really get away from the opposition halfback and get that ball to my fly half as fast as possible, and in a protective way. So I've had that kind of mindset, if you want to call it that, or say that success pattern. And now, again, after working with Masati and going through personal development, again, learning and kind of, trying to figure out who am I and what am I here to do and blah, blah, blah. What's my purpose and all those sorts of things over the past decade, or at least earlier on, it's just kind of amplified. So that's why, again, when I got into coaching basketball, I was like, okay, who knows their shit? Let's go talk to them and ask, where should I go? What resources should I learn from? So I fast track my learning, right? My evolution. And the same thing goes for frequency healing as well, or dimensional healing, if you want to call it that, or exponential intelligence, which is what Masati calls it. Is I was always, from the very get-go, right? The get-go, I always thought in the back of my head, if he is not there, how can I do this? Right? How can I support myself? I don't want to rely on someone. I don't want to have someone as a crutch. Okay? Definitely there for support when I need it. Hell yeah. And he has been there for me when I've needed it, alongside some other friends. A lovely friend of mine, Steffi, even a few others, Rob, even, some others throughout the path, that a sentence here or two, here or there, goes a really long way. Okay, so not to say that it's like don't get support or I don't get support. I do, absolutely, but at the back of my mind, I'm also like, okay, cool. How can I stabilize myself? How can I operate and be solid within myself? Yeah. So, and sometimes it's fucking hard. I'm not gonna lie. It's super confusing. At least in the past, there's been moments where it's been quite confusing. And having those sessions, having those one-on-one sessions, which I provide now for my clients, super beneficial. Super beneficial because it's, you have someone there that can say support you and give you those breadcrumbs and say unlock, right, or take you out, help again, this is exactly what I help people do, but again, through my teacher Mars, helping me say take a step out of my sandbox. I call it your sandbox. You could call it dimension if you want to, but again, like a sandbox. And a sandbox is basically an environment where you can just create things. Okay, if you ever heard of there's a game called Minecraft, or even in like Age of Empires back in the 90s, I don't know if you know those video games, but you could create, say, a map, right, with, there's wood here and stone there, and your villagers could go then get the wood and make wood and get the stuff. So you could create a map, and that would be like a sandbox, right? So that in that sandbox you would have access to, say, wood and stone and food. Let's say that, berries, right? Wood, stone, berries. And you'd be able to create your map. So, but if you wanted fish, if you wanted, beef or deer or chicken, right? Or if you wanted wheat, you wouldn't have it. Because in that sandbox, in terms of food, all you have is berries, right? So what you do then is you say, you move out of that sandbox, and then you move into another sandbox, a more beneficial sandbox for yourself, which has beef, which has wheat, which has, flour, or, vegetables, or it has, gold. Maybe it's got like a gold, iron ore, whatever it might be. Okay. So then when you're creating your map, when you're creating your life, you have access to those resources. Okay. So again, with Mars, it's like he helps you basically step out of your sandbox. So you can see what ingredients and tools and formulas are within that sandbox, how you've been creating your map. And then he helps you, say, transition into another sandbox that has other ingredients, it has other tools, it has other, again, resources that you can use to create your life. Okay, so it's pretty damn cool because a lot of people, and it's not everyone, okay, it's not everyone, especially now the consciousness is really shifting, so people are really elevating really nicely. They're kind of getting forced to, which is really beautiful. You shift the difference between, say, frequency healing or, say, exponential intelligence and what we do is that we help you shift the sandbox. Okay, most people stay in the sandbox, but it just looks a little different. Okay, so you might say get healthy, right? You might change your mindset, your psychology, and you get really healthy, but because you're in that same sandbox or, say, dimension of time that has the resources of abuse, that health eventually starts abusing you. Okay, or you'll find a way where you create abuse for yourself. Okay, again, just like me, if you've seen the session that I had, the formula was, I always had to fight for something. Okay, fight for success, fight for whatever it might be. And so, freedom fighters, right? Who's a freedom fighter? Fight for the truth, fight for your freedoms. So I'd always have to create a fight, whether it was within myself or it was within someone else against humanity, or it was, you know, a player on another basketball team. I'm like, screw this guy, like I'm fighting, and it would like ramp me up. It would take me to the next level. Yeah, but then it would, again, it would burden me, right? And I'd start burdening myself and others. So now what's been quite interesting is that, and I've kind of, it feels like even though there's been that love, right? That motivation to, you know, again, to make videos and, I mean, that motivation, so that inspiration, I should say, you know, shows up every now and then in the right timing. But say that fighting drive, if that it feels very different. I'm noticing that it's been feeling quite different. It's no longer a I've got to fight my way to success or fight something to be successful or whatever, or healthy or whatever. It's honestly, it's almost been like empty or neutral, or like, yeah man, like whatever. Like it's been almost strange for me because I've been operating that formula for a really long time. So the past, say, week or couple of weeks, it's been like, oh, like, I don't really care. Like, yeah, you know, and I might see things in someone, or someone might say something, and maybe it's a little bit more intense with my father. But I've even been noticing it with my father when I chat with him. It's like, why am I fighting him? It's like, why is there always something to like one up, or again, it's way better than what it was, way better. I mean, you should have seen it back in 2020. And if you're picking up what I'm putting down, you know what I'm talking about, 2020. But these days I'm like, whatever. People can choose, you know, what they want to do. I'm not going to control them. I don't need to fight them to feel whole and to be successful myself. And I don't need to fight them to like change their mind as well, or like to help them, you know, to help them or wake them up. So I don't need to fight for that. You know, it's interesting because it used to be like a rescuer thing, like, you know, I don't need to be the savior. I don't need to be the savior. And now it's like, I don't need to be the fighter. Right? I just get to be me. You know, when it feels right to share things and I feel it in my bones, then fuck it, I'll share it. You know, like and this is just for me, right? This video is helpful for me, and I know that as it's helpful for me, it's going to be helpful for you guys. Yeah. So, yeah. So that's kind of it. I'm moving out. Found a new place in Coogee, so I've been in two minds about it, but it feels good. Like there's like this, there's this crispness whenever you know, there's like a crispness and then like a question mark around it. But either way, it's whether it's long term or short term, I'm really looking forward to moving into this place and just sussing it out. I mean, there is a little bit of hesitation, not gonna lie. As soon as I say that, I'm like, is it the right place? Whatever. Whatever, I'll find out. I'll find out soon enough. I could be wrong, and I have been wrong, you know, in terms of my self-analysis, if that makes sense. So, yeah, so now I'm about to go upload this video and also share with my email list, which is you guys, if you're watching, if you got this far, about the Winter Love program, which starts next Tuesday, I think. Yeah, next Tuesday. So if you're around for that and you want to get amongst it, you know, Tuesday the 23rd we kick off, and you know, you can suss out the sessions as well. But I think that's it. I think that is it, my friends. I've been training, doing a thing called functional patterns, which is very, say, meticulous and very detail orientated. in terms of your body's biomechanics: walk, run, throw, jump, which has been cool. It's been fun. It's been nice. 3 weeks in, and we'll continue and see how it impacts my body. So, alright guys, that's me. If you got this far, give the video a like. Smash that like button. I watched a South Park episode recently about YouTubers and influencers. Fucking hell, it was so funny. So funny. It was like taking the piss out of Logan Paul. I don't know if you know him. And his prime drink. Oh man, so funny. South Park. It was gnarly though. It was intense. It was like, this is full on. Anyway, so smash that like button. Smash that like button. Anyway, you share a comment or whatever. You can do whatever you want. If you want to subscribe to the channel, go for it. If not, whatever. All good. Anyway, I will see you on the next video. And until then, I hope you're well. And I'll see you on the flip side. All right, much love. Peace. Bye.